Dacia Sandero, 2024. The best-selling car in Europe for a reason, or perhaps no reason at all. Right then, let's talk about the Dacia Sandero, the car that has managed to become the best-selling vehicle in Europe during the first half of 2024. Yes, you heard that right. The Sandero has outsold every other car on the continent, and in doing so, it has turned the automotive world on its head. But the big question remains: why? Let's get something straight. This isn't a Ferrari, it's not even a Fiat 500, it's a Dacia. And for those unfamiliar, Dacia is the Romanian brand that specializes in making cars for people who'd rather spend their money on anything else. So what does the Sandero offer that has Europeans flocking to it in droves? Design and interior. To start, the Sandero is about as exciting as a lukewarm cup of tea. The design is the automotive equivalent of beige wallpaper. It's there, it works, and it won't offend anyone. The 2024 model has a slightly more aggressive grille, LED headlights, and some creases along the body that make it look a bit more modern. But let's not kid ourselves, it's no head-turner. Inside, it's the same story. You get a dashboard, some seats, and a steering wheel. The materials? Hard plastics everywhere, as if the design team's brief was, make it durable, not desirable. But it's all very practical, and you won't be worrying about scratching anything. Performance under the bonnet. The Sandero comes with a few engine options. The base model, which is probably as popular as it is cheap, is powered by a 1.0-liter three-cylinder petrol engine, producing a whopping 67 horsepower. If you're feeling adventurous, there's also a 1.0-liter turbocharged variant that cranks out a not-so-astounding 90 horsepower. And for those who really want to live on the edge, there's the bi-fuel version, which can run on both petrol and LPG. No, this isn't going to be setting any lap records at the Nürburgring, but it will get you from A to B. Eventually. The handling? Well, it's about as exciting as a wet weekend in Skegness. The suspension is soft, which is great for absorbing the potholes that Europe seems to specialize in, but it's not exactly confidence-inspiring in the corners. The steering is light, the brakes work, and that's about the extent of it. It's a car that does what it says on the tin. Technology and features. Now, if you're expecting the latest in automotive technology, you'll be disappointed. The base model doesn't even come with air conditioning as standard, but you do get a touch screen, albeit one that feels a bit like using a tablet from 2010. Higher trims offer things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a reversing camera, which is about as high-tech as this car gets. But let's not forget, this is a cheap car, and in that context, it's actually quite well equipped. Variations and pricing. The Sandero comes in a few trims, starting with the bare-bones Access model, which is about as basic as cars come these days. Then there's the Essential trim, which adds a few more creature comforts like air conditioning and an audio system that's slightly better than listening to your passengers hum. The Expression trim is the top of the range, featuring alloy wheels, some chrome bits here and there, and a bit of faux leather to make you feel like you've splashed out. Conclusion. So why is the Sandero the best-selling car in Europe? Well, it's cheap, it's practical, and it's reliable. It's the car you buy when you need transport and don't want to think about it. It's the automotive equivalent of buying a loaf of bread. There are fancier options out there, sure, but the Sandero does what it needs to do, and it does it at a price that almost everyone can afford. And perhaps, in today's world of rising costs and shrinking budgets, that's precisely why it's become the darling of Europe. Because sometimes, all you really need is a car that gets you where you're going without any fuss. And that's exactly what the Dacia Sandero does. In conclusion, the Dacia Sandero is like a pair of sensible shoes. It's not flashy, it's not fast, and it certainly won't impress your neighbors. But it gets the job done with no nonsense, no frills, and no unnecessary expenses. It's the car you buy when you've got better things to spend your money on, like, I don't know, anything else. But here's the thing. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. It's the car that says, I'm sensible, I'm practical, and I've got my priorities straight. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why the Sandero is the best-selling car in Europe. So, if you're after a car that will get you from A to B without draining your wallet or your soul, then the Sandero is probably for you. And if you've enjoyed this little rant about one of the most unremarkable cars on the road, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button, because there's plenty more where this came from.